my experience, we seem to see agriculture like it's a by the way. Yet 70% of every 100 Ugandans are directly dependent on agriculture. For livelihood, for employment, and for any other survival, even if it is subsistence farming. Unfortunately, the cost of inputs in the agricultural sector have gradually become expensive. The soils have deteriorated. Sober countries, South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, are subsidizing farmers with quality seeds, with fertilizers, and with machinery. Teso, our mothers never used to dig. That's why we had Saimuko for the ox plows. And we used to plow with the cattle and the oxen plows. Our mothers were weeding and only harvesting. Today, the mothers have become the tractors. Argues that we have Soroti fruit factory. I argue that that is a cottage industry. Why? Because the packaging line of that fruit factory is of a cottage industry. That's why Uganda Airlines rejected us. Do you tell a gardener to weed for you your garden the way he wants? You decide how the gardener will weed your garden. And that must be the politics we practice. The parliamentarian is equivalent to a gardener. Mamji buna ichapa kamisiri the way you want. Yes. And politicians work best under pressure. If a politician is not put under pressure by the voters, hold him or her with specific tangible demands. Hold the politician tangible physical demands. I raised a number of issues. I was on the floor raising the issue of the CT scan, the issue of the lack of ICU units in the regional referral hospital. And I'm glad to report that I was raising a substantial motion and the Minister of Health, through the Speaker, asked me to have a discussion. We had a discussion and that matter ended up being appropriated resources. And we had a functional ICU unit. We got a CT scan. And one fact that came out is we started putting the agenda of the regional referral hospital on the National Assembly. And you will recall that through the report I wrote about the COVID unit gaps and challenges, the members of Parliament of Teso Parliamentary Group agreed that we go and visit the referral hospital. But prior to that, remember that the doctors in the regional referral hospital had performed a surgery of separating the twins, one who was dead and the other who was alive, and had been recognized. Yes. And there were projections and expectations to be fixed in the referral hospital. Unfortunately, to date, since I left Parliament, that cause and fight has gone silent. The referral hospital is the worst in the country. The silence of our leaders disturbs me, but my leadership approach and engagement is to put the people first, transformational, not transactional, and we believe that if we are to legislate, the agenda and the aspirations of the people must come spring.
All right. Kickstart. Hello from wherever you are watching us from. It's yet another beautiful episode here, and you're watching The State of the People, a program where we bring your leaders to talk directly to you, count to you, and as you all are aware, we are headed towards a political period where you'll be voting for your leaders. Mark you, we have different leaders who are coming up with their different manifestos, and this is a program where we bring them to speak to you directly and share their ideas with you. My name is Nathan Yago. We live Talk to Change Your Man. We are hosted at the Sanctuary, or the Meat House, located in Camp Swahili. In case you're looking for a place where you can come and order for meat, but instead you're given a full goat, this is the place for you. In case you want full chicken, this is a place for you. So we are here. I am proud to host a leader that most people in Soroti always talk about. A leader they have dubbed as Level. Today we have him in the house, and sir, you're most welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. I have also discovered the sanctuary. I didn't know there was where I can eat a full chicken and a full goat.
Yes.
Only that meat, I am reducing it one of these days. I'm loving vegetables.
Wow.
Because somehow too much of it can be too dangerous. But we should come and enjoy the meat and support the sanctuary.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much. Today we have a few questions that were shared to us by people within the Soroti city, and with this we believe we shall be getting different replies from you. Honorable Attan,
Yes.
you have served in Soroti before as a member of Parliament. Would you please describe your leadership style and how it shaped your relationship with the people who voted for you and the fellow lawmakers?
My leadership style is I am proactive. I believe in transformational leadership, and I believe in putting people first. And every legislator, you are mandated to speak on behalf of those who can't be in that house.
Yes.
And it is those people's aspiration, pain and suffering that you carry to the National Assembly. In the National Assembly, you have virtually 4 core functions.
Yes.
1 is to represent the people. 2 is to legislate, pass laws that are comfortable and that are not oppressing to the people.
Yes.
Do appropriation, pass budgets to address the concerns and the gaps that need to be fixed, and do oversight. When you're a member of Parliament, you speak for the people who voted for you and those who didn't vote for you. The 1 year I was in that house, I pushed so hard that we put the Teso agenda first, and within the few months I was in the August House, we were running through the COVID challenge. And I visited the COVID unit over 4 times, putting on protective gears, and I understood the pain and the plight of the patients who were in that COVID unit. I ran to the Ministry of Health, not once, not twice, over 6 times, pushing to have gap fixing. And we had commendable efforts undertaken by the medical personnel with the support from the Ministry of Health, engaging. One experience was when oxygen had bypassed Soroti, having passed through Tirinyi, Palisa, and was transited up to Lira, and we were waiting for the truck to return. I went to the Ministry of Health and took them on, and within a few hours, the delay that was causing almost a calamity in the COVID unit had to be fixed because it became now a national crisis. I raised a number of issues. I was on the floor raising the issue of the CT scan, the issue of the lack of ICU units in the regional referral hospital. And I'm glad to report that I was raising a substantial motion, and the Minister of Health, through the Speaker, asked me to have a discussion. We had a discussion, and that matter ended up being appropriated resources, and we had a functional ICU unit. We got a CT scan, and one fact that came out is we started putting the agenda of the regional referral hospital on the National Assembly. And you will recall that through the report I wrote about the COVID unit gaps and challenges, the members of Parliament of Teso Parliamentary Group agreed that we go and visit the referral hospital. But prior to that, remember that the doctors in the regional referral hospital had performed a surgery of separating the twins, one who was dead and the other who was alive, and had been recognized.
Yes.
And there were projections and expectations to be fixed in the referral hospital. Unfortunately, to date, since I left Parliament, that cause and fight has gone silent. The referral hospital is the worst in the country. The silence of our leaders disturbs me, but my leadership approach and engagement is to put the people first, transformational, not transactional, and we believe that if we are to legislate, the agenda and the aspirations of the people must come spring.
You're one of the leaders who has been loved so much according to the records that are trending on media. And one of the key issues that you've just raised was health, that you actually championed. What other key challenges did you face during the time when you were in Parliament, and how were you able to overcome some of those?
Among the challenges I faced was the aspect of people wanting to remain silent and not raise the issues that concern people. For several times I was denied to speak on the floor because of being feared that I would raise things that will antagonize the ruling party or the government in power. But we managed to overcome some of those issues by saying, well, I am seasoned, experienced. With my experience, having studied the field of political science at university, undergraduate and at master's level, I knew how to maneuver, work with the technical people in the ministries and departments and agencies, then also work through the committees of Parliament. I was on the Committee of National Economy, and one other challenge that I faced and was disturbing me was the absence of a secondary school from Aoja to Soroti. Those children to date continue suffering. From Soroti up to Gweri SS, there is no government secondary school. That triangle of many primary schools, we felt we fight for them and have a seed school. And among the things we achieved was to have Opuyo Seed School appropriated resources from a borrowing which was approved, and I signed on that report under the Committee of National Economy. Unfortunately, the politics of thinking it's Attan who will be celebrated, it is Attan who will be scoring, that project has stalled to this date. Opuyo Seed School has not taken off because of the intrigue and the politics of pull him down, pull her down. We also had a benefit of over 5.4 kilometers of road. We did, through the Physical Infrastructure Committee, get to fix the road of Kichinjaji via Minute. As you walk through those roads, currently you can appreciate that Kichinjaji connecting to a Minute up via the Uganda Matters Vocational Institute and where Regina Acheli is being constructed, Tumbale Road, it is Maram that is worth celebrating. We also got from Goshen up to Owale Primary School and also fixed the same working on the road of the solar plant in Opuyo, that's Salaki, up to the compound of where the Sud School was supposed to be constructed. This we achieved working with colleagues, engaging colleagues, and collaboratively putting the interests of Teso. Those roads, I'm not the only one using them. The infrastructure, the seed school that many have fought, should have benefited the children of Mother Teso. The appropriation to have things in the referral hospital, it's not Attan benefiting. And I want to rally the leaders who remained in Parliament. By the Uganda National Household Survey report, our poverty level has gotten worse. Between 2019, 2020 to 2023 to 2024, we have increased in terms of poverty levels worse than Bukedi sub-region, and Karamoja is the most poorest, Bukedi coming second last, Teso comes third last. But those two regions, Karamoja and Bukedi, their poverty has reduced, as Teso's poverty has gotten worse. The question is, why is our poverty worsening while our leaders prefer to remain silent? And that is where I tell people, I will speak what is the truth and let the regime appreciate that this gap exists rather than us pretend Karamoja is poor, but they have the majority ruling party. Teso is poor, but today they have the majority of the ruling party. Now, what is changing in Teso? That's why I tell every voter, give us a chance. Give Attan a chance. You gave me a chance for 1 year. What I was able to pursue and push in 1 year. And I will also disclose this to the viewers, that in that 1 year, I was privileged to be given 200 million shillings for a car. To date, I never bought a car for myself, but because there had been a cry for public transport to support people going for burials, to support our communities of how we take back our departed ones to Katakwi, to Ngora, to Kalaki, to Serere, to Bukedea, I chose to buy a truck. A canter truck that still exists today, a burial, and it has returned. This truck runs even when I was removed. It has continuously remained to serve the community. What am I saying? We can do things that outlast us. In the 1 year I was in parliament, in the 1 year I spoke the concerns and the plight of the people. I fought for budget appropriation for Opuyo City School. The money is still there because it was a loan we approved. And that is where we find that government borrows money and the money is redundant. Imagine from 2022, Opuyo City School that should have been constructed hasn't been fixed to date because of the politics of intrigue, which is unfortunate. The children of Mother Teso are the ones suffering.
In your own statement, you said you have been an MP of the people. How did you ensure that community involvement and feedback in your development plans? How did you ensure that you got in the community each time you were focused on development?
I engaged the community via focused group engagements. I could engage various categories. I could engage the business people. I could engage the Juakali people. I could engage women groups. I could engage medical personnel. I could engage teachers. I could engage technical people. And I could also engage fellow parliamentarians with whom we were in the house for that 1 year to bring out the concerns of Teso, because collectively you are stronger than being as an individual. And that's why you appreciate, among the things that was in the report of when the members of parliament came to Soroti Regional Referral Hospital, the cry for a heavy-duty scan machine was raised by the then director of the hospital, and as I speak, government responded accordingly. And recently, in a few months ago, I heard that the office of the Minister for Teso delivered the 600 million heavy-duty photocopying machine. So engaging was not specifically on the voter side, but engaging also to build synergies with the colleagues in the House, the technical people in the ministries. I will tell you, at one point it was very difficult to get Opuyo City School on the list of the budget, because the priorities of government and the competition for you to get what goes to your constituency becomes complex. But I had to put a case for Teso, and I used the knowledge and the understanding of political analysis and comparative analysis to make them appreciate that Teso is a special region without special programs. And if secondary schools in a sub-county is a special program, my constituency has a huge population of primary schools that do not have an outlet. And today I think many of our children in Opuyo, in Chetigwen, fall out of secondary school because they can't access Soroti SS, they can't access Gweri SS in that triangle. And today, Uganda National Housing and the Population Survey report, the net secondary school enrollment is 23%. Out of 100 children who qualify to go to secondary school, only 23 are able to be absorbed. That means there is a huge gap of leaving out about 70 7 secondary going students, which is unfortunate. And as legislators, we must appreciate to analyze our reading culture. I also observed that most of the legislators don't love to read, and if you don't read and you don't research about your sub-region, your national indicators of the trends of poverty, education, health. We have one of the worst regional referral hospitals, but also in the country, the reports of national surveys indicate that 54 people out of 100, if you fall sick, if we are 100 in this room and 54 of us are sick, they will not accept to go to a government clinic or a government hospital. And 17 will prefer to go to a pharmacy. What does that mean? That 71 people out of 100 would rather go to a private clinic rather than go to a government health facility. That indicates to you that many people are losing would-be valuable income to healthcare support in private facilities. If we want to transform our people, we must fix health services, we must fix education, we must fix agriculture in Teso. Teso is endured. Much of the beef being exported by Kenyans is coming from the Arapai, Ochorimongin, Kasilo, Bukedea, being taken to Kenya, packaged and exported as beef. But the whites, the colonialists who ruled Uganda for 68 years, knew the value of Teso cattle. That's why they fixed the first meat packers in this country, Soroti meat packers, which is now a sham of itself, crossed, it's in private hands. But we believe as the FDC that can be revitalized through private-public partnerships. And we would revitalize the cattle economy because Teso has a bigger comparative advantage in the cattle economy.
You currently have plans of going back to Parliament to represent the people of Soroti City East, and you realize that most of the services are actually present in Soroti City East compared to Soroti City West. What is your vision for Soroti City East, and what role do you see yourself playing in achieving it?
Soroti East is filled up with too much, and I will tell people that we did divide these two divisions under political gerrymandering. We divided without thinking to distribute revenue resources. Banks, markets, everything is almost in Soroti East. But then, it's unfortunate that we got a city with a budget for a municipality. Currently, Soroti City does not have a sufficient budget to be able to run and function fully. That's why you realize in the by-election they were blaming Attan on issues of garbage. He has failed. Then they forced in my brother Rico to be a member of parliament. Then recently I was seeing when the Ateker festival was there, Honorable Mike Mukula had to find 120 million, Minister of Gender taking taxpayers' money to give him to do work. A whole vice chairperson of the ruling party who sits at the apex of the strategic planning and policy body of the ruling party had to now depend on taxpayers' money, but there has been no appropriation in terms of garbage management. We have no trucks, the dumping places are almost collapsing, and the city has no caterpillars, no machinery to be able even to open drainage and open infrastructure. All these leave us to first accept that we must address the budgetary allocation. Have a city with a budget for the city, not a city with a budget for a municipality. That, in my view, will be able to be cured when we stand and raise our voice. And let me rally all political leaders, whether you are in Bukedea, whether you are in Katakwi, whether you are in Kalaki, whether you are in Serere, whether you are in which part of Teso, this city is the only city for Mother Teso. And if we don't address, the Acholis have addressed it. Gulu city is now competing with Mbarara and Kampala. And they have taken a lot of collective effort. An FDC in Acholi will sit with an NRM to discuss the issues of Acholi. The Chief Justice calls members of Parliament of Acholi sub-region and they retreat to discuss matters of Acholi. And no wonder, in the last 4 years, Acholi has been able to reduce their poverty from 67 people out of 100 to 22 people out of 100 in the last 4 years, 2019 to 2024. So, I believe that as Teso, we must rise to the occasion. Do not think that you pull down Attan, it helps Soroti. Because Attan was removed from Parliament. Did it remove the garbage challenge? It didn't. And no wonder we saw Mukula chest thumping that he has cleaned the city, but Papa Teso said, no, that was Emor Morzi budget, you didn't pick your personal money. So the point I'm making is that nobody can fix the crisis of garbage, infrastructure gaps, and challenges in the city without sufficient appropriating budgetary resources. And it's the role of the executive. And let me put this on record. Members of Parliament do not draw the budget. The budget is drawn by the Minister of Finance. And the Minister of Finance, by constitution, is the President of the Republic of Uganda. No wonder whenever they are reading the budget, he delegates the Minister of Finance to read the budget on his behalf. So when the budget is presented through what is called the MTEF, midterm expenditure projections, it is presented, and most times the Parliament is limited in as much as they can vary the budgetary lines. No wonder at one point they had tried to vary and bring in items the President was uncomfortable. He returned the budget to the House and they had to correct the way he wished. That is how powerful the presidency is. So the people of this country, the people of Teso sub-region, must also know what we are going to demand from the next government. We must have a MOU with the clear demands and specification of what we want in the next 5 years. From the leaders who are coming, if members of Parliament want to be MPs, you must be us. Do you tell a gardener to weed for you your garden the way he wants? You decide how the gardener will weed your garden. And that must be the politics we practice. The parliamentarian is equivalent to a gardener. Mamji buna ichapa kamisiri the way you want. Yes. And politicians work best under pressure. If a politician is not put under pressure by the voters, hold him or her with specific tangible demands. Hold the politician tangible physical demands which is supposed to undertake, then you will get results that benefit the population. I give you warrant, I give you a few things, you are done. There is a transactional politics where people are getting 500 million. It's available. Someone called me, he said, I $9 million, but when you win, mine is 800. So you win an election, they have seen Attan spend big money, but once he has won, Attan now has a debt. Without the interest, 500. With the interest, 800. Then Attan will hide from you for 5 years.
So what you're trying to say that there are some people now who are trying to come out and do business with especially the candidates who are contesting.
I have said politics that I practice is transformational. But in politics that I studied, they are transactional leaders. That give me, I give you. The way you go to a butcher, chop for me a kilo of meat, I give you my money, you don't know how I have prepared it, and you won't ask. That's the transactional politics. So there are politicians who have mastered that script. That Edola say, I will go and pick my money, pump it into the population, I get their vote, and I disappear, I carry the, and I am able to testify from experience. I contested with Honorable Mike Mukula when it was Soroti municipality in 2010-2011. He disappeared from 2011. He returned in 2015 to say bye. And in his words, he said he will never contest for elective politics, not even his son. Those were his words. In the Arrow Square and sports ground, I remember I awarded him a goat for retiring from politics decently. Unfortunately, he continues, even to today, he's looking for votes for SEC. Selective, and the son I hear is also coming to contest. I don't know whether he picked the NRM flag, but if he hasn't picked the NRM interest and he gone for NRM nomination, it will be strange and laughable that the SEC chairperson, a chairperson, vice NRM vice chairperson at SEC level cannot convince the son to come and contest on the party where he has served for a number of several years. Mike Mukula and the son benefited from this constituency for 15 years. While we were tussling with him that you are not working for Teso, you're working for yourself. And he has served as a SEC member for 10 years. If the son is running away from contesting in the NRM, it is laughable. And I don't think he has the audacity to convince people to believe in NRM. That said, transactional politics, we have witnessed it. My brother, Honorable Rico, came in 2015. He hid FDC delegates in Eneku village. They used to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They brought coasters and transported them, and he took over the flag. After he took over the flag in 2016, he won the elections. I came number 2 again, having come number 2 to Honorable Mike Mukula. He disappeared. Having transacted with the voters, a survey was done after that election. Voters were asked, on what basis did you vote the winner? He gave us money, which seems to be the same trend he has taken wherever he has run to contest after the unfortunate by-election. So I'm showing you transactional leaders who believe that it's about power in money. Now, the voters must wake up. Why does this man who wants to be a Pakasitile, beta ichapa kamisiri, a kotobo baita chengo, anwenga ina inisa swamna, ichapa misiri. Can a gardener who wants to weed your garden be the one to pay you money to give him a job to weed? Voters have a role to play in sanitizing and moving away from transactional politics. In Acholi, they will eat your money, they will do everything, but they will elect the one they believe has the potential to go and speak and articulate the aspirations of the people. That is what I present.
Okay, we're still having this program, and it's just becoming so interesting, and we are hosted here at the sanctuary, a place where you order for meat and you're given a full goat, where you order for chicken, you're given a full chicken, where you order for soda, they give you 10 liters of soda. But anyway, I've just put this just to show you guys. This is so interesting, and we are hosting Honorable Attan Moses Okia of the a member of the FDC party. Honorable, today several youths in Soroti are looking up to you, and there is a big challenge of unemployment and issues of drug abuse. How are you going to use your position to ensure that these two vices are fought?
First and foremost, this country has a lot of employment positions that are vacant. For instance, Soroti City, it is operating at 26%. Soroti City is, if we are supposed to have 100 workers, they only have 26. Meaning 74 positions are vacant. And this is across local governments, ministries, departments, and agencies. And I believe as a legislator, we must fight and make government fill up the vacant positions to the scales that were passed by law, to be able to function at the minimum capacity. We have gaps in the health sector. A doctor of Uganda, one is serving 27,000 patients, the workload. A nurse is serving over 16,000 patients, workload. Yet by international standards, one doctor is supposed to serve 1,500. The only country achieving this is Tanzania, is Rwanda, then Kenya comes closest. But in Uganda, we are in that crisis. Yet you are seeing interns and doctors not being deployed. What are we thinking? As a legislator, we must push and fight for an economy that is not working on 8 hours. And this is a policy position that can be pursued, and as FDC, we are proposing in our manifesto that we create a 24-hour economy. What is a 24-hour economy? You and me, Nathan and Attan, the only thing we share equally is 24 hours. You and an American, the only thing you share is 24 hours. But how is the American using the 24 hours? We work in this country on 8-hour shift. 8-hour shift, because of the workload you are putting on the doctors and the nurses, you are straining them, and they end up working for 16 to 20 hours because of the huge load of patients. We are proposing create a 24-hour economy that in one position, if Nathan is a doctor, we have in that one position 3 doctors. 3 doctors working in a shift of 8 hours, getting the salary that one doctor gets. You are able to create 2 more additional positions in that one job. And for instance, if you are doing in manufacturing, people are working 8-hour shift. We are going to provide incentives for manufacturing sectors that are adopting the 24-hour shift and make the people to be absorbed. Productivity of this country is very low, but there is a lot of idle manpower, which we must roll into the 24-hour economy. 3 positions, 8-hour shift in one position. That will quickly absorb the idle and productive young population. The people who are idle and productive are as a result of the government that is non-responsive and not addressing with clear interventions to lift them. You cannot tell me you have graduates whose parents have sold land, they have sold cattle, they have sold almost everything, and the graduate is at home, and government does not have employees in the Soroti city, and you say we can't find salary scale. I would move that government reduces the number of ministers, reduces government vehicles to the ministers, reduces the patrol lead vehicles, and provide money to recruit and fill up the vacant positions. I would move that government reduces members of parliament to 2 people per district or per 2 persons, a male and female, in the parliament, and release that resources to boost agriculture. Teso is endowed. We are surrounded by water bodies. We have the best grass for cattle, pasture. We are cattle corridor. We have the best soils for high-yielding simsim, millet, nuts, high demanded across the globe. We can feed Ethiopia, we can feed Congo, we can feed Burundi, we can feed South Sudan. Elevate Soroti Flying School to an international airport. We produce here, make sure that the industrial park is functional. As policymakers, move that factories are allocated this way, provide incentives for investors, will be able to graduate argues that we have Soroti fruit factory. I argue that that is a cottage industry. Why? Because the packaging line of that fruit factory is of a cottage industry. That's why Uganda Airlines rejected our drinks, because they were not meeting the international packaging standard. So we do not have a factory and an industry to the standard of producing for international levels. That fruit factory, you know that you produce oranges, but it's not consuming. It's now at the mercy of Kenyans. We are at the mercy of Kenyans, Rwandese, and Tanzanians helping us to buy. This season is floating. Kenyans are not there because the oranges from Tanzania are many and they are of high quality. Tanzania provides subsidies, complements and reduces the cost of production for their farm products. We eat onions from Tanzania, we eat tomatoes from Kenya, we eat carrots from Kenya. Yet, I'll tell you, there are people who are rich in this Teso sub-region. They used to take food to Kenya. We used to feed Kenya, but now, as we speak, Kenya has turned around to feed us. We used to study with the Kenyans in university. Now we are taking children to Nairobi University. As we speak, the UNESCO report 2024, there are 4 countries in Africa whose education standard is declining. And that is Sudan, where former Bashir was a president, Libya, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. The quality of education is declining. That is a UNESCO report. If the quality of education in Uganda is declining, what is the quality of education in Mother Teso, where we are number 3 among the poorest in the country? This is a question for the viewers. Now, we need sober legislators who are going to push an agenda for the people the next coming 5 years. We must know that politics is not a subject of playing around with, because you can be given waragi, you can be given tokens, you can eat muchomo, and you say Attan oye. Analyze, does Attan have the content? Does Attan have the capacity? If you fall sick today, and you are supposed to be operated, and they say Attan studied political science to master's level, and Dr. Podoi is the surgeon, but for you, we want to push you in the theater, and the one going to operate you is Attan, the political scientist. Will you accept? Certainly you will not accept, because you want a qualified. True. Now, here we are. Attan is qualified, studied this profession, passionate about this profession. He has been in this from 2001. I have been contesting from 2010-11 to this day. And if I am to illustrate it, that I have been at the borehole wanting to collect water for the people of Soroti municipality, the people of Soroti East, for the last 14 years. If your brothers came and your jerrycan has been at the borehole or at the Attan, the well, for 14 years, which jerrycan should you fetch water first?
Honorable is already addressing a question to me, but I would also refer that question back to the viewers.
The viewers will answer, and the competence I have, this is a job I am trained in, this is my passion, and this is why I refuse to betray the people of Mother Teso. Even after I was given offers after the by-election to compensate me and to get me opportunities to get out of the country, I said, selling on a penny. This is where I will remain, and this is where I've been since the by-election, and I'm very convinced that the people are going to send me back come 12th January 2026.
Honorable, we have a Teso parliamentary group, but currently the talk within the people is the MPs within that umbrella are not doing what they are supposed to do. Do you think Teso parliamentary group has failed? its duties?
No, I do not have that mandate to pass judgment, but let's appreciate the dynamics within which the Teso parliamentary group is working. We have a culture in Teso that has grown over time, and this culture of pull him down, pull her down. And it has been embedded into the culture of divide and rule. That there's powers that ruled this country. Those were the colonialists. They ruled Uganda for 68 years. 68 years when they ruled Uganda, they left Uganda and they went back, but the system of divide and rule has been practiced by African leaders. And they played so well. Today, there are NRMs who don't see eye to eye, but they are all in that parliament. There are NRMs within Soroti who don't see eye to eye, but they are all NRMs. There are FDCs who don't see eye to eye under the politics of divide and rule. And we have not asked ourselves, who is this person who puts us in the bottle like grasshoppers and we bite ourselves? Now, Teso parliamentary group has failed to function because we are into the intrigue. Politics has three cards. There's a card of scheming, there's a card of manipulation, and there's a card of intrigue. Now, we have taken so much time onto playing intrigue against each other. You're a media person, you know the top leaders within Teso sub-region who are playing intrigue against each other. Some of us are victims of the intrigue where they think you are not agreeing with so and so, so you must be fought, and that happens. But who is the eventual loser? It's not the MPs. They have continued to earn their salary, they have continued to earn their allowances, and they continue to return whenever they wish to the voter. But what is the voter saying? The voter is saying, Adare uningojo akalaya. But you are losing 5 years of your valuable time, and you're not holding the leader accountable. I look to that country, to that moment when Teso will say, no, enough is enough. You must talk to each other, not against each other. And we demand that you tell us what you are going to do collectively, not individually. We can't have health centers in Soroti states, but you have people establishing private enterprises, yet they are not fighting for public good. What's the benefit? At whose expense, and who are you representing? I open a big hotel as an MP, but at the end of the day, the people I'm representing cannot even find room or space in the health center. You are driving, you're a minister, you are being driven with the heavy, huge consumption fuel vehicles, but the health center where your voters are going has no even an ultra-scan machine for the mothers who are going to deliver, to give you future voters. We must accept politics and politicians work best under pressure. Power concedes nothing without a demand, and unless people rise up and demand and hold every leader accountable for their actions and inactions. In politics, they are your actions and your inactions. For instance, if you're a commander-in-chief or you're a commander of a platoon, the actions you don't take that cost the state, you are liable. The inactions, the actions you have taken that are wrong, you are liable. Who is holding the members of parliament, the elected leaders, to their inactions? Who is holding them for wrong actions? Why would you pass legislation? For instance, you pass legislation that every month Attan should take his old car to be inspected at a cost. You must tax people over owning property and land. All these laws that are repressive, that are exploitive, you who is passing them, did you consult the people you are representing? Those are fundamental questions. And this election presents an opportunity to hold the leaders accountable. They must be able to give a performance report. Ikarikan, what have you done? You entered, this was our situation. Ibongujo, this is our situation. Nyobi somataji. Ikarikan, you get allowance, you are facilitated to represent us. When did you ever consult us? And whose views were you passing in the caucuses where you went? I thought the biggest caucus is the voters. I want to be that member of parliament who will come and call the youth, come and call the women when we have matters of concern in the National Assembly. And this I used to do. I do politics without social media. That's why people keep asking me, why do you move and we don't see your pictures? I do not give and display. I do not engage and display. Because the other ones will ask, what did you tell him? Because I want to be in a lawyer, they tell me their views. I go to a Tatai, they tell me their views, and I do a triangulation and they do a comparison. What is the common position from those different views?
Wow, we are, but of course are coming almost to an end. Honorable Attan, you realize when we come into agriculture, there is history that government is partly letting people of Teso down, and of course Soroti belongs to Teso. We're given oranges with hopes that we are going to overcome poverty. We also given improved cassava stems to actually plant with hopes of overcoming poverty. Today we are hearing about cocoa and coffee, but still there is a call from the people of Teso and especially also people from Soroti City East, where we have places that are still so rural, whereby people are still practicing agriculture and they are growing cassava in large amounts. But when you look at the market, there is no market of cassava. What do you have to say about the agricultural sector in Soroti City and of course at Teso at large, looking at your experience you've been in parliament before?
Yes, I have been in parliament, and I was in parliament as a senior policy analyst, and I gave policy positions to support the leader of opposition's office and members of opposition for over 3 years. I returned to parliament as a member of parliament for 1 year. My experience, we seem to see agriculture like it's a by the way. Yet 70% of every 100 Ugandans are directly dependent on agriculture. For livelihood, for employment, and for any other survival, even if it is subsistence farming. Unfortunately, the cost of inputs in the agricultural sector have gradually become expensive. The soils have deteriorated. Sober countries, South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, are subsidizing farmers with quality seeds, with fertilizers, and with machinery. Teso, our mothers never used to dig. That's why we had Saimuko for the ox plows. And we used to plow with the cattle and the oxen plows. Our mothers were weeding and only harvesting. Today, the mothers have become the tractors because of the absence of the cattle. Ox plows are expensive because Saimoko was privatized. All machinery was removed and taken across the country. to a foreign country where now ox plows are imported, manufactured in that country and imported into Uganda. We killed Saimuko, which was helping ox plow production, and we were robbed of cattle. It's on record. Honorable Musa Ichweru said the Matayo Chaligonzas, the Chef Alice took the Teso cattle. And I keep disagreeing with people who think and believe that Kajongs took the cattle from Teso. Karamoja would have flooded with the cattle. I grew up in Jinja. The trains could pass with the cattle. In 86, 87, I was in primary school. And we used to go to the barracks and pass the railway line and we could see cattle. It's now when I grow up and come back to Teso, I realize these cattle that were coming from Teso. Winnie Byanyima is on record, spoke in the Arrow Independence Square, that Libya supplied guns to the NRA and they were awarded with the beef. The NRA captured power did not have cattle. The cattle came from Teso to compensate Libya. The point I'm making is that government should have by now appreciated that they benefited from Teso and should have compensated Teso substantially and should have honored the manifesto pledge. The first promise to compensate Teso cattle was in the 1996 manifesto of President Museveni. If that was done and we compensate substantially from 1996 to date, those are how many years of waiting? Close to 30 years. Teso economy that depended on the cattle to plow, to do agriculture, has collapsed down 30 years sinking. The rich economy, Teso, that has now used to produce professors, used to have their children go for PhDs and study with the nutritious meals. Now we are the most distressed, psychologically distressed population in Uganda is Teso. That is the report from Uganda National Household Survey, report 2023-2024. The most psychologically distressed Ugandans in this country are from Teso sub-region. Why? Because our economy was collapsed. And not accidentally, deliberately. And someone argues that the reason maybe we are not being compensated is that possibly if Teso rises up as a cattle corridor, as it was, it collapses than call a cattle corridor. We have better quality beef. And that's why the Europeans fixed the meat packers in Teso. I received a call recently, someone from Zimbabwe is asking, they want to have some local cattle for their father's birthday party because the Teso meat is tasty. And when it is slaughtered, the meat doesn't get dark very fast. So our agriculture and our economy that depended on that cattle economy and producing using the ox plow has been collapsed. That must be addressed. And the young population will go into agriculture if we put in quality seeds and inputs. I do farming. Farming is not a cheap venture. It requires you to have the courage. It requires you to be willing to make losses. I made losses last year. I made losses. Over 12 million went. My projections from the farm gardens are done in Kasilo and in Palisa. The water that I should have depended on for irrigation dried out. And I collapsed. But I did not give up because of my passion to farm and inspire young people whom I engage in the farm business. Fortunately, or unfortunately, in Teso we are projected on oranges, cassava stems, while on the other side of the country, they are given Frisians, they are given goats, exotic goats. And between you and me, if the sun hit you who has an exotic goat, the goats will even be happier to eat dry matter. Compared to me who has the cassava cutting and the sun has hit. So we think that as policy legislators in the future, we must demand what is commensurate with the comparative advantage and the environment in which we live. Teso were not these people who used to live so much surviving on oranges. They were growing wild on their own. But we were more into the cattle, the goats, the sheep, just like Karamoja. And this is the biggest cattle corridor. Karamoja, Teso, and we slope down. Where now the smallest cattle corridor is where there is more cattle. Where the big cattle corridor is where there is no cattle, which is so unfortunate. And I want to believe as viewers, we must interrogate the things and hold the duty bearers to account why Teso has been neglected and why Teso cattle compensation and even the court rulings where our elders deserve to be compensated have not been put into consideration. We think as a Forum for Democratic Change, we will be focusing in the cattle economy, and Teso must be revitalized, and we must focus also on restoring the meat packers. We must also focus on giving incentives to boost the young people in agriculture. And we must also reduce the cost of credit. Government is borrowing hugely domestically, and that has increased the cost of lending expressively. Yet, if government went out of borrowing and reduced the public administration expenditure, we can release a lot of resources to the young people. And if we don't invest in the young people as they continue to waste away, it is the future of this country which is at stake. The future of this country depends on the present and future youth. And the present youth must rise and stand up to demand for what is due to them in order to fix a better future for their children and grandchildren. I will play part with your support. I preach. I will do my best in that august house. Beyond only talking, we will engage and write, and we will return to rally masses. People say, what can you change if they refuse to listen to you? England depended on slave trade. To end slave trade business in England, it took 2 legislators to rise up to the occasion and went and collected even petitions from various constituencies, and they brought and tabled substantial motions. By the end of it, slave trade business ended. Even when England depended on it. So we shall do reforms with the people of this country, with the people of various constituencies, and we shall rally Ugandans when we are able, standing on our feet, to say we demand, and Teso must be given special attention, because it's a special region that the past 4 years we have not seen any special programs and interventions. I thank you very much.
All right, still on the State of the People, a program where we bring your leaders to account to you and share their ideas to you before we vote for them. We're still hosted here at the sanctuary. Let me just sip my drink. I remember telling you guys I was given a full jerrycan of soda. I ordered for a glass, but I was given a full jerrycan of soda. So this is becoming more and more interesting, and I want to tell you, drop down a comment and tell us what you think about this program. Remember, we shall be having a debate for all the candidates who are going to be contesting for different positions, especially in Soroti State, so that they share us their ideas. So as we come to the end of this program, remember, follow us on all our different platforms, Teso Vibes, Teso TV, and all other blogs where you're going to be getting this information from. Honorable, as we come to the end of this program, what message do you have for the people of Soroti City East?
The people of Soroti East, I want to thank them for the support. I started when it was Soroti Municipality.
Yes.
And the first time I contested, I got over 5,000 votes. And I can, with humility and gratitude, say thank you, because those votes have never reduced. Every election, the votes have been increasing. The votes I got against Mukula were not the votes I got against Rico. They increased. The votes I got against Rico in 2016 were more than the votes I got against Mukula in 2011. Rico in 2021 were more than the votes I had got in 2016. And the votes I got in 2022 by-election were more than the votes I got in 2021. What does that say? The support has kept increasing. The love and the sacrifice. I want to thank people who have given me money. For the last 3 years, I have depended on the people of Mother Teso. Some call you for food, some call you for fuel, some even when you have no tires, they buy for you tires for that UAD 366Y. And these people have given me reason not to betray them. I will not betray you, and I rally you. If you accept to give me 1 vote, kindly reach out to 5 friends of yours. Talk to each of the 5 friends to identify 5 people, and those 5 times 5 makes 25 people. Plus the 5 you started with makes 30 people. Those 30 people is the army that you will be commanding. You who is watching me, I am nothing without your support. I don't have the money that the colleagues have, but I have been in this spending from 2010, 2011. I am weary financially, but the brain power has increased, and the Attan you will be sending to Parliament 2026 is a firebrand and a different species than the one who had gone to Parliament in 2021. This is the profession I studied. I am a graduate of political science. I went and studied a master's in the same field, negotiation, debate, all skills that relate to this field. I am packaged and fully informed and will be utilizing them to full capacity. This election is not about me. This election is about you. And it is you to decide who is that gardener who will be weeding the garden for all of us between 2026 and 2031. I have offered myself to want to weed that garden, and I'm counting that you give me the mandate, you will not regret how I will weed that garden for the 5 years. I want you to try me, give me a chance. Those 5 years, you'll see the best of Attan and you'll appreciate. And I'm sure when I return, if I'm alive 2031, I'll be giving a performance report and I'll be asking, should I go back or not go back? I thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Teso and God bless Uganda. I remain Attan Okia Moses. I emerged unopposed with the FDC flag for Member of Parliament Soroti East Division. And by God's grace, I trust you'll give me those votes and I'll win on the 12th of January 2026. And in May, when we swear in, work will start like never before. I thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. That has been Honorable Moses Attan, okay, of the FDC party. I want to appreciate my team that has been behind the production of this interview. Mr. Okiria Emmanuel, thank you so much for being behind the camera. I want to appreciate James Salom, the only Italian. Teso, and of course in Uganda, who has always ensured that whatever we have here is presented very well. You are watching Teso Vibes at Teso TV, and the information is going to be running in different blogs. I want to appreciate every single one. Salam alaikum to all the Muslim friends outside there. You guys are always so good. Not forgetting our sanctuary for always having us here each time we want to have an interview. So good. I will be sipping my drink, then later I will go to the kitchen to pick my full goat and have it move home. Thank you so much. Have a good day.